From the banks of Dewey Lake, it's the Dewey Pod Monster.
Welcome back. My name is John, and this is the Dewey Pod Monster podcast. This is a weekly podcast, and this month is about crummy movies and also consumption. However, it's Friday the 13th, and we have an extra episode for you because that's kind of what we do around here. And we brought in help for this one because we're going to need it. With me this week is, of course, Sean, who is the host of the Dewey Pod Monster podcast. And Sean, how are you doing today?
You're all going to die.
That's fucking quote you've ever led with. And then if you're watching on video, you might already notice this, but if you're not, we have two of our favorite returning guests on the entire planet with us. We have Jordana from Pretty Killer Podcast. Jordana, how are you today?
I am fantastic now that I'm with you guys.
We're glad to have you back. It's been way too long. And of course, we have with us Justin from Pop Culture Reflections and like 20 other podcasts. Justin, how are you doing today?
I am fucking great, and I am so happy to be with all of you.
I'm glad to hear it. So, like I said, we're talking about Friday the 13th, Part 8. That's where we're up to in this series. This is Jason Takes Vancouver, New York. And we're going to start a little differently because I saw a very interesting fan theory on Reddit that kind of explains some of Jason's behavior, and I'm kind of interested on what your thoughts are with this. This doesn't explain why Jason kills horny teenagers, but it does explain the drugging. The idea is that Jason is actually a drug addict who loves drugs. So the reason why he kills people who are taking drugs and alcohol is because he's actually just killing them so he can take their drugs and alcohol, which also further powers him and explains why he can be reanimated from the dead. Thoughts?
Wow. I kind of like that, actually. I do too.
I like the idea of some methed out hillbilly just running around New Jersey killing teenagers.
Reddit comes through again.
We just watched Pulp Fiction and watching like the whole drug scene. Like it could happen. It could literally bring someone back from the dead. You know what I mean?
It's just mainlining adrenaline.
Yeah. Like it checks for me. I like it.
Justin?
I'm not sure if I like it. I don't need that much thought when it comes to Jason. I'm just good with him being mindless killing motherfuckers. That's what I want from Jason. I don't need him taking drugs.
All right. So we have one person who supports Reddit, two people who are pro-drugs, and one straight edge kid here. And we're going to talk about Friday the 13th, Part 8. And that brings us to our third-party review, which comes from this week from Molly on Letterboxd, who gives us 3.5 stars. And Molly says, I may be biased given my love for 80s slashers set in NYC specifically, but this one is kind of fun as fuck. If you try to tell me that you didn't also love Jason kicking that fucking kid's boombox, you're lying. That's all we got for a third-party review. So, Sean, tell us what Friday the 13th Part 8 is about and who's in it.
All right, for this we go to imdb.com. We look at Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan, and we get a movie from 1989. It gets an R rating with an hour and 40-minute runtime. This gets a 4.5 out of 10 on the IMDb rating scale with 48,000 reviews. And we go to the storyline or the plot, whatever's on top, never quite sure what it is, but this one says on the top, it says Jason Vorhees is accidentally awakened from his watery grave and ends up stalking a ship full of graduating high school students headed to Manhattan, New York. And if we scroll on down to this other thing, I guess that makes it the storyline. The other must be the plot. This comes care of Manuel15_Jesus at hotmail.com. And Manuel Jesus says, a whole high school senior class is finally graduating, and they're rewarded with a luxury cruise called Lazarus. At the beginning, they're all having fun, including Rennie, who has a serious problem with the water because she almost drowned when she was little. Jason is bored of the ship and starts his killing rampage until only the main characters are left. After that, they decide to look for the killer and kill him. Unfortunately, Jason gets them first. After only a few of them escape and the ship reaches New York, they discover that Jason got there first and is ready to pursue the survivors so he can kill them. Now a young teenage couple must escape or die in the dark waters of New York.
All right, so I'll give you a break from talking so you don't have to do casts yet. Let's get into how we found this movie because this is a Friday the 13th movie. We are a cordial podcast, so I'm going to say ladies first. Jordana, how did you come into Jason Takes Vancouver?
So my experience with Jason Takes Vancouver was at a very young age, and that's when I kind of like crossed over from like Ghostbusters, PG-13 horror into like the more serious horror. So like the New Blood and Manhattan were my jam, and I will forever love those two the most because that's like how I first found Jason.
Can I ask, is this your first Friday the 13th? Like, was this the first one that you found, or do you know?
Yeah, I believe so.
This?
It was this one, and then New Blood, and then 2. is the sack, right?
Yep.
Yes. Okay.
I have a suspicion that for a lot of people around our age that this is probably their first movie, and that's where the nostalgia comes from. First Jason, and that's where a lot of the nostalgia comes from. Justin, how about you? How'd you find this one?
Yeah, it was, I think I even told the story the last time I was on your show, but it was either Jason Lives or the final chapter was the first one. I always forget which one was first, but it was one and then the other one. And then after seeing both of those on video, I remember seeing the advertisement for Jason Takes Manhattan coming to theaters, and I begged my mom to take me. She didn't, so I had to wait till it came out on VHS. Home video, and she did take me to our mom and pop video store. I rented it, and much like Jordana, because they all happened in rapid succession, I watched the two, on video, and then that came out, watched that. I have all that nostalgia for it too, and I love Jason Takes Manhattan because of it.
Sean, I don't remember, is this one a first watch for you, or is this a rewatch?
No, I've actually seen this one before. Surprisingly.
Okay.
I've seen this, yeah.
Was it just like a video store find?
Yeah, I mean, 1989, I was 12 years old, so it wasn't like I had never heard of Jason, so I don't think I saw it until probably like 91 or 92, though.
Yeah, for me, this was part of the, I'm trying to get as much horror in my brain as I can. I had already discovered Jason, and this was one that, it had such a cool box, like him looking over New York like that. I also have a real soft spot for like New York-based horror movie or any movie, especially if New York can look really shitty and grimy, which I think everyone here in this room has heard that or had that conversation quite a few times. I have no idea at what point chronologically in the franchise where I saw this. It was probably not in the right order, but I don't think that mattered. So Sean, let's start getting into this movie, and before we do that, who's in this movie? Who do we give a shit about? Who don't we give a shit about? That's worth talking about that actually acts in this movie.
Well, I don't know if you care about them, but I care about them because they're all important people to me. We have Jensen Daggett, who plays Rennie. You may know her from Major League, Back to the Minors, lots of TV stuff like The Single Guy, The Adventures of Briscoe County Jr., and Home Improvement. A lot of these people are from TV. They're like in TV shows too, that's mostly what they're known for. We have Kane Hodder, of course, who plays Jason. He was in the Hatchet series. He was the alligator from Alligator, and he is Jason, Friday the 13th, 7, 8, Final Friday, and Jason X. We have Peter Mark Richmond, who plays Charles McCullough. He's a character actor with about 194 credits, including Dynasty, Beverly Hills 90210, Knight Rider, The $6 Million Man, and The Bionic Woman. He was in both, like the same year. Did play different characters, too, which is crazy.
Asshole.
Oh, yeah. True. Yeah, he gets what he deserves. We have Scott Reeves, who plays Sean. He's mainly a soap opera actor with The Young and the Restless. He was in General Hospital, and most recently... Well, actually, that's not true. He was in Nashville. We have Martin Cummins, who plays Wayne. He was When Calls the Heart, which I don't know what that is, Riverdale, Dark Angel, and Poltergeist, The Legacy. And then we have Kelly who plays Eva. She was in The Scorpion King, The Orville, and, most importantly, the Sammo Hung vehicle, Martial Law.
I'm so glad you skipped that X-Men movie.
Who was in X-Men?
Kelly Hu.
Wasn't she like...
She was girl Wolverine, whatever her...
Nobody knows who that is.
She's girl. It's like Deathstroke or Deathstrike. She's in the...
See, you don't even know who she was.
I'm not a comic.
Prove my point.
Fair enough. So we have all these people in here that Sean just mentioned. So this is kind of where we start talking about likes, dislikes, and all that kind of good stuff. And this is going to just kind of go around, and we can kind of bounce back and forth between likes and dislikes. We started with Jordana last time. This is not to be uncordial, but I'm going to switch it to Justin just to kind of go around the room. Why don't you kick us off, Justin? Let us know a couple of things that made you fall in love with or why you like Friday the 13th Part 8.
So I'm going to start with the elephant in the room, and I'm going to say that I love that this movie has the balls to spend more than half of its runtime on a boat. And while it's on a boat, quite honestly, it gives us some unique and awesome moments that most audiences seem to not appreciate, like the disco dance floor kill, the badass pink spiky guitar, Jason punching through a porthole to attack Rennie, like all that stuff adds up to a lot of fun to me. Do I wish we would have got more time in the city? Sure. Most of us probably do because of the aesthetic, which I'll talk about in a little bit, but just starting at the whole thing on the boat, I think there's a lot of fun there. And again, for a series that I am in love with, we've talked about, this is my favorite franchise of all time, but those first 7 installments, we kind of are stuck in a camp, and finally we're going somewhere else, and I kind of dig that about it.
It's a fair point. So, and I agree. I like the change of scenery, or I like the idea of taking the change of scenery. We'll get into whether or not that works all the time, but I think it's a novel approach. I'm still not sure how the boat gets from New Jersey to New York, but maybe we'll figure that out later. Jordana, how about you? What are some of the things you like on this one?
I liked, to Justin's point, I like that it's out of the camp and into like on the boat. Some of like the boat is fantastic. The disco kill is one of my faves, but I love the grittiness of the city. Like there's just so many scenes where it looks so real, like you're actually in the city. And I loved the dynamic of everyone acting like it was normal that a masked killer was walking around. Do you know what I mean? Like I was just kind of like, what the hell is going on? And I liked the creative kills because it didn't feel as serious to me. It kind of felt like light and airy and different. So that kind of made it more appealing for me as a young kid to watch it. Like I wasn't as afraid, but I still was afraid.
I can see that. This one, they actually made the conscious choice not to even bother shooting the gore for the most part because they knew it was just going to get hacked out anyway. So this one definitely is one of the more sanitized installments in the franchise. For me, one of the things I really like on this one, I like that we still get some of the hallmarks of what Jason is. You still get Jason throwing a motherfucker through a window, like even though it's in a second story in like a random warehouse in New York. I like that there's no need to carry that trope on, but they did. And that's, Jason hates windows is probably one of the things you've heard on this show every single episode and of, a Friday the 13th movie and some movies that aren't Friday movies. So the fact that they carry that over, I absolutely love. I love that we have another Harbinger of Doom, another Crazy Ralph knockoff, like floating around the boat. He really has no purpose there other than say that everyone's going to die and then get killed and kind of look like a shitty Popeye. But I like that about it. And I really like the opening sequence in this movie. One, the In the Darkness of the Night song is kind of cool in like an 80s, like synthy kind of not great way, but in a way that works for this movie. And I like that all the scenes that we go through, all the places that we go in the opening credits are all the places that we go back around to and see Jason just destroy as we get to the third act of this movie. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yes.
And I don't know that I would call it foreshadowing because honestly, when I watched it the first time, I didn't notice that until the last few times I've watched it. Like I didn't think that much of it. I think it's just trying to set the feel of New York in it, but it does work to kind of feel different from all the other Friday the 13th movies up to this point. Does anyone have, like, we can bounce however you want on this. Like you can bring negatives in, you can bring positives in, you can talk about characters. Are there characters that stick out to you in this one? Because this one, to me, I feel like the characters, with the exception of Jason, obviously, are kind of mostly murder fodder. Like I don't feel like a connection to any one of these characters. I know you two both love this movie probably more than I do, surprisingly, at least for the one who's the Halloween fan. Thoughts on the characters on this one?
Okay, so it's weird because I think Remy is very underrated as a final girl, and she was one of like my faves, and I feel like she never really gets talked about that much. Like I don't. There's other Friday the 13th girls, final girls that gets talked about more than she does. And Charles is such a dick, but he's perfectly casted in this movie. Like Bernie in The New Blood was like girls, final girls that gets talked about more.
You don't even know how big of fans of Weekend at Bernie's we are on this show.
Listen, you know how much I love Weekend at Bernie, and I love the sequel. I think the sequel is so goddamn good for how horrible it
is. You don't even know it yet, but you just volunteered for at least 2 more episodes. So.
That would be an honor to come on and talk about Weekend at Bernie's. I don't know. I feel like you said, there's not a lot of characters that stand out because there's a lot of casualties in this one. But I love Julius, I love Charles, and I love Remy and the dog. I love Toby.
That goes without saying, of course. Rennie's interesting because Rennie pushed to go against type when she realized it was a Friday the 13th movie. If you notice, they wanted to make her do a couple nude scenes, and she's actually more dressed than any Friday the 13th woman in this entire franchise, like through the entire movie, which is kind of different. It's also interesting because she was, in her audition, she went against Pamela Anderson, who is no stranger to nudity, and she went against Jessie Spano. Was it Elizabeth
Shue?
Berkley? Is it?
Yep.
Yeah, she went against. Those were the 2 people that she was against for this movie, and they picked her over those 2. I could see Elizabeth Berkley working as a final girl. I don't know if it would work better for this particular movie, but it's kind of amazing that, in general, the Saved by the Bell cast hasn't found their way to horror just because, let's be real, they haven't done a ton past Saved by the Bell. I mean, Showgirls is a masterpiece, but outside of Showgirls,
sure is.
there's not really a lot to be said about the Saved by the Bell cast.
I don't know if
Saved by the Bell.
I don't know if I could have listened to Jessie Spano the whole time, because remember when Zach was doing drugs and she was like, "I'm so scared." It was obnoxious.
It was the best scene in the entire show.
Whole time. I would have been like, that one's the worst Jason if she would have been casted, I think. Sorry.
It would have been interesting, and if they let her have a pill addiction, I mean, why not? So
right.
I
how about
kind of wish we would have got Pamela Anderson, to be honest with you. Like, I think there would have been a certain well, let's face it, there would have been a definite campiness to her performance, because that's what Pamela Anderson always did, especially back then, was really dialed up the
this
camp.
would have been like Home Improvement era Pamela Anderson.
It would have been, yeah. It would have been just before that, probably. So it would have been like really interesting to see a young Pam Anderson do this movie, because again, she'd have been very campy. I would miss Rennie, though, because I do like the point that you made and that Jordana talked about Rennie. I like her because she is different than all the rest of the final girls in this franchise. The way she carries herself, her look, all of that stuff. I've always been at odds with the characters, because although I do like Charles and I do like Rennie, and Julius is kind of a cool character, there isn't much to them. For a franchise that doesn't develop characters anyhow, these are probably some of the most wooden characters maybe in the entire franchise. Having said that, though, and you pointed it out earlier, John, this is the Jason flick. Even though he's not in it much, like, he's the main character. He's the one that we're watching for at this point. So I think it really doesn't matter that these characters haven't really been developed, because that's not the point of them.
Yeah, this movie definitely hits the point of the I think it hit this point of the franchise probably more accurately around 6. But by this point, the franchise is 100% on board with, like, no, Jason's the hero of this movie. Jason's the one that you're coming to see Jason. You're not coming to see all these fuckos that are going to get murdered by Jason. So, it's kind of a mixed bag, because I do think that having characters that you actually liked, which you could say about, Jenny in the first movie, or, some of the characters like Crispin Glover's character, whose name is escaping me at the moment in the fourth movie. There's characters that are sprinkled throughout this that you can find reasons to like or relate to, or whatever the case may be. And there's, the inverse of that. There's characters you can find plenty of reasons to hate in these movies, like Joey comes to mind with his stupid chocolate bars in part 5. Can't stand him. So, gets taken care of. But yeah, Jason is definitely the rock star of this movie. It's not even remotely close, which is kind of interesting, because I'm still of the opinion that although he's undoubtedly the rock star of this movie, I still don't think Kane Hodder's even in my top 5 Jasons of the franchise.
Oh, that's it. I don't know. There's something about Kane. Maybe just because he was the first Jason I was used to watch, that I gravitate towards him. But a point to bring up too that I was thinking about after I watched it was he's very good guy too in this movie. Because remember when the druggy dude's about to and he kills, you know what I mean? It just seems like he's doing kind of justice to Charles because of what he did to her when she was younger, and this scumbag about to drug her and do whatever, you know what I mean? It's just weird to see Jason kind of take those heroic stands throughout the movie.
I'll forever have love for Kane Hodder, because he was asked to kick a dog for this movie and he refused because he said it was outside of the Jason character. It's just the wrong thing to do.
Yep.
So I think that's why they replaced it with the boombox kick, which is perfectly fine, and no one has a problem with that. But the fact that of all the people in horror, Jason Voorhees himself was I'm not fucking doing that. Makes it hard. Again, I'm not saying I don't like Kane Hodder. I'm not saying I don't like his performance. Where my struggles with Kane come in is he's, with the exception of Jason X, he's in the majority of the worst Friday movies, in my opinion.
True.
The one thing I want to say, though, in defense of Kane that I really love about him, just in the context of this series, I'm not talking about anything else. What I love about him is that he plays different versions of the character for his time with this franchise. Every film's slightly different. And even though he's the same character, he puts a different spin on. When you think about Jason Goes to Hell and the character he has to play in that, Jason X obviously playing 2 versions of Jason in that, and then obviously this Jason here. I just love him for that. And the one thing that has always stayed with me about this time frame, I remember seeing on Arsenio Hall, Kane Hodder was a guest on that in full Jason gear, right? Makeup and everything.
For this he was promoting this film. Yep.
Exactly, and he stayed in character, and I always respected his dedication. I think probably, if nothing else, you got to give the guy credit for his dedication to the character. It really stands out. And I think I always like the look of this, Jason, because I want to just throw this out real quick, and it's probably one thing we all love about this movie is the aesthetic.
Yes.
You know, and Soggy Jason, I fucking love him. I don't know why, but him being soaking wet this entire fucking movie is so fun to me. And, you know, John, you said it earlier. I'm with you. I am a sucker for the wet, grimy city look, especially New York City in the 80s. Whether it's the Warriors, Frankenhooker, or this, or so much more, I just love it. And then on this, you know, in this, we get a subway, we get rooftops, we get the amazing guitar, we get toxic waste drums and sewers, and obviously we get Times Square, a greasy diner. Fucking Jason throws a dude over the counter like he gives no fucks. And then you describe the boombox scene, like that fucking boombox scene in Times Square, how good it looks, the way it's framed, the way Jason has no time to waste with these dumb motherfuckers. He kicks the boombox. They're going to act like tough guys. He simply pulls the mask up. All right, you're not messing with me. And then he's off to do what he needs to do. And I adore it. I always say this, and it's funny. This movie, I think, is why I am a content creator to this day. Because at some point when I was 9 years old, something this movie did for me and what it meant to me in pop culture and all the things that are in this movie, like you described it, he's a rock star in this movie. It's just stayed with me all these years, and it's why I'm passionate about it to this day. And that's why I have undying love for this particular film.
I really like the idea of like 9-year-old Justin like writing a thesis about Jason Voorhees in Manhattan, even though it's, you know, only there for like a minute. So
Yeah.
But I appreciate that. That's the aesthetic's amazing. So, I mean, that's one thing I do agree that they get really right on that. I think if I were going to criticize anything on it, I would have downplayed calling it New York, just because that is something that we'll probably get into negatives with it, because it does feel like a little bit of a bait and switch because New York is so iconic. But I don't necessarily want to get into negatives yet. So, Sean, I'm sure you have opinions here too. Please let us know some of the things that you like, or if you want to just start hating right away, you go right ahead and do that. Like, whatever you prefer. Let us know some of your thoughts on Jason Takes Manhattan.
You guys were kind of talking about it, and I want to bring it up like as organically, but I like initially Justin hit on the grimy New York kind of thing. And the opening of this movie, number one, the poster of this movie is probably one of the better Friday the 13th posters. I think it's a great shot of Jason kind of coming over the city. He's got the knife in his hand, and he's kind of crawling into the city. And the way that this movie opens is it's showing that gritty New York thing, right? It's showing all the old iconic advertisements you think of when you think of Times Square pre-Giuliani era. You know, you got the Coke sign, you've got Sony, I don't know, like Minolta or a bunch of camera stuff, essentially, JVC, Panasonic, all that stuff. They show lots of back alleys, lots of junkies that they're going to revisit later. They show people getting mugged and just beaten up in the back streets. And I kind of like that it shows that. I mean, it doesn't paint New York in the greatest light. You would think, like, who could ever live in this place? Just the way that they portray it from the beginning. But I think it's pretty cool. I think it's kind of fun that a lot of these kills are confined to the boat. In the first, I have like complaints about other parts of it being confined to the boat, but I think it's kind of fun that all these people are getting picked off, and basically the survivors that we get near the end of the movie are all people who survived from the boat. So the rest of them are just fodder. And it's fun in a respect. You guys were talking about character development. It's fun in a respect that everybody, well, up until the last few people that just get left in that room, in the whatever the dance or the bar room or whatever in the boat, like they get like a sentence of dialogue, at least one or two, and they're like, "Oh, hey, I'll play the guitar.
I'm a rocker chick. I can do this.
I'm good at boxing." I mean, that guy makes it, but the other one who gets the hot stone.
I make shot on shitty horror movies, and I'm here to make a exploitation blackmail tape.
I get punched a lot by a guy, and then I lay in the sauna and get burnt with a rock. That's pretty cool. Like, they all have at least a line or two. You know, it's not just like, oh, it's just some guy who just got killed. But I do think that's pretty cool. And I did want to say that I think it's not unlike dumb teenage boys to think that they're going to be these badasses with these weapons and they're just going to split up. Like, oh yeah, this guy is just killing everybody on the boat. Let's just split up and we can take them on one at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Why not?
It's sound male logic, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Perfect teenage boy stuff.
Teenagers are just so lovely and stupid.
And smart. Yeah.
So I almost feel like this might be worth breaking into two parts, like boat and post boat, just to kind of, or we can go into negatives now if you want, because I feel like once it's going to happen quickly when we do. Is there any like specific kill on the boat that anyone wants to highlight as a favorite?
I love the disco scene. I truly love that chase. I love the whole spinning around, the music playing. It just kind of it puts a homing in on like the time. You know what I mean? And like what was hip then. And I don't know. I just love the camera work, and then I just love how he just throws her, like lifts her up and just that one always scared me, but I loved it.
Justin? I know you mentioned the guitar, but
yeah, the disco dance floor thing is my favorite too. It's just such a cool look, and again, it looks so different than any Jason kill we'd ever seen in the series. The rest of what happens on the boat, as far as a kill wise, is not that spectacular. But I do like the guitar thing. I just wish it would have been a little bit more elaborate. But it's kind of cool again because it's different, and I love the look of the guitar.
I think the thing that sets apart that disco death scene is that it's just like vanilla death. Like there's nothing extraordinary about it. No weapons used. He doesn't pull her head off. There's no like gore. I mean, really to much extent. I mean, there's none really, right? Her feet kick and then they stop and then she goes limp and that's it. Which is, I think for a Friday the 13th movie is a little underwhelming. You kind of expect something to happen very badly to someone. I think in that respect, for me, like my favorite, it's really short, and I wish it would have been a little bit more elaborate, was when he throws Wayne, the camcorder guy, like into the transformer or whatever on the boat and starts the fire. It's a cool kill, but it's like all the kills are so off screen or kind of non-gory, or like you guys brought it up earlier. Yeah, they're just really inert. Like they just kind of, guy's dead. It would have been nice to see a little bit more of that.
Like the bathroom scene too, you know what I mean? Like with the glass, like that could have been a cool setup to get some gore, but literally like as soon as he goes to hit her with the glass, it does the blowhorn and it's, you know what I mean? Like maybe missed opportunity to maybe elaborate. Cause I think they were onto something with the kills that they did, but maybe if they showed a little bit more gory, there'd be more choices. And also to your point, Sean, I feel like very vanilla. It was very Michael Myers, if you will, of him to just choke her out and throw her like that,
I don't like comparing the two, but I see where you're coming from. So
yeah,
I kind of like Tamara's death because Tamara feels like the most classic Friday the 13th death in most of this film. You get, obviously she's naked in this scene, so there's that to it, which is fine. But you get Jason that comes in, he throws her into a wall and just maniacally goes and punches out this mirror in like a very intense, it's like mic'd up really well so that it sounds really like intense and heavy handed with it and very deliberate. Now, granted, they don't show a lot of the actual kill, which is a reoccurring problem with this movie, but it feels very like, to be honest, it's one of the only kills in this movie where it gives you that, oh shit, Jason just is going to fuck this person up. He does it throughout this whole movie, but it's so much lighter because of the lack of the gore, the lack of like seeing the kills, the way so many of the kills don't line up with each other and all that, with what's going on in the shot. That one at least feels menacing still, even though they cut away to the part where it's actually kind of, gonna do horror movie things. John, did you add one already? I'm not sure if I missed that or not.
Kills? The guy getting thrown
Boat
into
kills.
Shit. Yeah.
You did.
Lighting on
Okay.
fire and all that fun stuff. The good stuff.
Yeah, good stuff. So eventually they get bored with the boat, though, where the boat runs into an island that may or may not be New York, and we end up running around the city. And in a lot of ways, it kind of feels like the same formula, just going through a city as opposed to a campsite or a boat. But I'm still not sure how they got to New York. That will continue to confuse me.
It's the magic. It's the magic of McCullough falling asleep on the fucking rudder, and those two poor guys rowing their hearts out.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, he's like, McCullough is such an asshole, by the way, with all the, they get to New York. Oh, you couldn't find a better place? Like, fuck you, guy. You didn't fucking row at all. You could have, go fuck yourself. Go for a swim. See,
I would have kicked his ass right off the boat.
Yeah. Bye, dude. And he's
Yep.
just like, you could have
He goes through a window, so it's
couldn't
okay.
pick a worse place. Huh? Like, get out of here.
Dick.
We haven't really talked much about Charles or McCullough or whatever we want. I call him the principal all the time because I don't think he's worth remembering his name.
Is that what he
And
actually
this is probably
is,
a good
though?
place.
Is he?
I think he's the principal. He's not a teacher because he's still. I don't understand why he's still asking these kids for fucking homework assignments. I thought the whole point of this boat trip was that they graduated.
Yes, I know. I was like, why the hell is he in her room and she's trying to do anatomy when they're graduating? Like, what?
Yeah, like I thought that was the point of this trip is we're already done, but she's going to try to blackmail him into like shitty old guy sex and, shot on shitty home movies. Like, I don't quite get that with it, but I mean, if we're going to really start breaking down plot lines in this is really going to go off the rails quickly.
Oh, yeah,
So-
for sure.
Yeah.
So that brings us to New York. We'll call it New York for the time being. And whoever would like to go first, speak up to your best ability. What are some of the things we like about this version of New York or don't like?
Whether it's Vancouver or Manhattan or wherever, I really dig Brian England's cinematography, especially in the city part of the movie. Obviously, on the boat, there's only so much you're going to get as far as how you're going to frame a shot, but I think a lot of these shots look really great.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably my big thing, but Sean was talking earlier about we get to play it back with some of these drug dealers and druggies and stuff like that, and the toxic waste drums, and I'm pretty sure doesn't Charles get drowned in the toxic waste drum, which is fucking awesome. But to me, the big thing with the New York thing, there's two scenes that have always stayed with me. I got a shirt dedicated to it, but that subway scene is amazing. Mm-hmm. Jordana talked about earlier how like these people don't seem to be scared enough considering this fucking mass dude is in the city killing. It's just like that's what they're used to in New York, I guess. But I love the way it looks in the subway. He's just knocking people over, going after them. And then obviously the rooftop scene is iconic. I remember as a little kid, I'm like standing on the, in front of the TV, like shadow boxing like I'm Jason because I'm a lunatic apparently. But him knocking Julius's head off, clean off, by the way, after, he basically has Julius trying everything he can. He basically rope-a-dopes him and then, knocks his head off with one punch. And of course it goes into a dumpster. It's just, it's batshit crazy and I fucking love it.
I got to say about the head scene, we've got 50 years of severed head tech. Can it not look better than the way it does when they show it in the car? Like, that's one of the worst severed heads I've ever seen.
Sean,
Have you seen it outside of the movie, like what it actually looks like?
Is it bad?
It's fucking bad.
That scene traumatized me though as a kid, because okay, so that came out 89, right? So I must have seen it when I was like 7, 8. Like decapitated heads scared the shit out of me. Like when that happened, I like stopped the video. Absolutely not. And then when they showed the head in the car, oh, so gross. And then it falls off the dashboard. Ugh. I hated it. It scarred me for life. I was just like, no. But it is pretty bad.
For me, I really like the diner scene when Jason shows up at the diner where they have this big dude come out and get fucking annihilated by Jason. He just lifts him up by the throat and heave-hose him into a fucking mirror. What I really like about it, and I have a shirt with that on it, it's somewhere up, I don't know where it is, but what I really like about that is this is the first and I think only time within the franchise where you get Jason on Jason violence, because that guy would go on to become Jason Voorhees in Freddy vs. Jason. So you get to see Jason kill Jason and that he later is reanimated to play Jason, which I think is kind of cool.
That's awesome.
The only other movie I can think that does that is I think it's Hatchet 3, where it's got Derek Mears and Kane Hodder in it. Is Mears plays like FBI agent or some shit like that, and Kane Hodder is Hatchet or Victor Crowley, whatever his name is in that movie. It's not worth. They're not great, but
No.
yeah, Hatchet
Hatchet
sure.
Jr., Hatchet the Third.
I didn't. How many hatchets are there?
I think there's
4 or
3.
5.
Oh, is there 4 or 5?
No, there's at least 4 because there's one that's Victor Crowley, and I think there might be one after that. Sean, how about you? What do you think about this rendition of New York?
I mean, I think it looks great as far as being an anti-tourist ad for New York. It's pretty like, this isn't a place that I want to go, or like anybody here, anybody in the movie, they all live there. So they're all hard, they're hard as fuck. So I don't know. I just, kind of going back to what Justin said about the subway scene and the diner, you guys talked about the diner scene. The thing, I'll just go off on a little dislike here. The thing that, and I think even Jordana mentioned it earlier with kind of good guy Jason, I don't understand why Jason's just a killer, right? He's straight up, he's a maniac. He just, whatever. Anything gets in his way, and anything that gets in his way, he does take care of. But I think this guy likes to kill stuff. So why does he ignore like 99% of the people that he sees and he doesn't go after them? It's all in service of getting these people that actually, like, if you think about it, helped him, right? Because they brought him back to life. Well, they didn't bring him back to life, but that's his way into the city. So that was like one of the things I'm looking at. I'm like, there's so much ammunition.
Lost potential.
Yeah,
Potential
like so
carnage.
much great stuff
Exactly.
that could have happened to all these people that they just kind of let them go. And you're like, it would have been awesome to see him just, like when I think of Jason Takes Manhattan, right? They're advertising this movie. Jason's in New York. He's going to be doing all this stuff. And he's ignoring like 99% of the population to get to these 5 people, essentially, once they get off the boat. And I just feel like it's kind of, you have so much room to, I don't know, crush gangsters' heads or, the drug dealers. I mean, he does kill them, but he only kills them in service of getting to the person that he wants to get to. It's not.
Or just a
like
random
there's no-
grandma. You know what I mean? Like kill a random grandma on
Yeah.
the subway. Like she's knitting, take the knitting needles and right in the
Poke him in
ears.
the
Like,
ears. There you go.
could you imagine if he would have just been like casually chasing these people and he just takes out like Nana and takes out like another dude? Like wasted potential. Wasted.
So there's 2 things I want to get to with that. So, and Sean, I'm assuming you've seen the I Love New York poster for this movie, the original poster.
Maybe.
So the original poster for this was Jason cutting through the I Love New York sign, and it had some blood on the knife and whatnot. And it got rejected. One of the reasons was the New York Tourists Council or whatever thought it painted the city in a bad light, which my thought to that's always been, who the fuck thinks a Jason Voorhees is just walking around New York? It's obviously fiction. But I like what you said because you're the first person I've actually heard say it doesn't paint New York good for tourism. But so I think that's kind of great. The other thing that, and this is a good place to pivot into likes, because I think that's the biggest problem I have with this movie is there's just so much wasted potential here. Between the self-neutering to try to make it like more like off the MPAA radar and just the fact that you're not in New York for the majority of this movie, and that would be okay if you didn't call it Jason Takes Manhattan. This movie hinges a lot on Jason taking Manhattan, and it's really just Jason takes a boat for a little while and shows up in the city, which is fine, but like it feels kind of bait and just there's so many things that they could have done with this setting, this city, and this character to just make it an amazingly fun movie. And it is still a fun movie, but I can't help but feel like there's just so much lost potential and stuff that could have been done that just, for all I know, was never even attempted, because as much as I like how the city looks, it doesn't look like New York. And that's a problem when you're in movies called Jason Takes Manhattan. As much as I love this character, you mentioned he's on the subway with, all kinds of people like kill the grandma, kill the fucking there's a bunch of windows on the subway train. We know you don't like windows. Throw someone else out the window of the train. Just every single scene, once he gets to New York or Vancouver, whatever, once he gets there, there's almost always like 5 or 6 other people somewhere close by that should be part of his ever-going body count. And he's just like, no, I got to kill these 3 particular assholes. And let just for the sake of argument, if he doesn't have the end of this movie, does he just kill the 3 of them and walk back to Crystal Lake and take a nap and whatever? Like, what would, in theory, his end game be had he not gotten to the end of this movie?
That's
I
so
don't
funny.
think. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, John.
I was just going to say, I don't think that many people, I'm sure there would be a lot, but not as many people would go see Jason Takes a Pleasure Cruise. So
I would go see that in a heartbeat.
I know, and present company excluded. I don't know how attended that movie would be, but I will say, regardless of any other thing that I will say, I'm looking at Justin. I hope I don't offend Justin because he doesn't look happy right now. But I think that like when he actually gets to the city, the movie is infinitely more fun. Like it's cool in one respect that it is so confined in that first hour, but it's so much more fun, even if he doesn't take out any random person that he sees when he gets into New York, regardless if it looks like New York or it doesn't. I think it becomes so much more of a fun movie, and you can tell like there's so much more room for everybody just to have fun when they get out of that like confined spot. It's almost like the boat part is almost like a toned down Alien or something, where it's like you're in these confined quarters and there's only so many places you can go. But then once they get outside, they get to show, they get to show the diner, they get to show the subway, they get to show Times Square, they get to show alleyways where junkies hang out and inject you with nuke. So it gets nuke is
Thank
fun.
God we got a RoboCop reference in here.
That's when I saw it was green. I was like, that's got to be nuke. There's no way it can't be.
Couldn't be the substance or the reanimator juice.
It's nuke.
Reanimated
Just
juice.
Stop changing the subject. We know it's nuke. Okay.
Jordana, what were you going to say?
I was gonna like, if he did end up taking out everyone, how the hell was he gonna get back to Crystal Lake? Like, hop a taxi? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that would have been a cool another sequel. Like, Jason sees his way out of Manhattan. Like, I don't
Jason
know.
I've been
takes
down
an
with
Uber.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just, I don't know. Like, to your point, Sean, it's a lot of fun. And I wish that there was more time in the city, because like you could have went to even more like famous locations like FAO Schwartz, like a toy store. You know what I mean? Like,
He does the big dance on the piano.
on the big piano.
That was a big part of what was supposed to, like, they had scenes, like, if you hear some of the stuff they wanted to do for this movie, it's nuts. Like, they wanted to have the boxing match that happens between him and Jules was supposed to happen in Madison Square Garden.
See? Like that would have been
proper,
amazing.
with a whole audience and everything. Well, they couldn't afford that, so that's why they didn't do that. He was supposed to like throw someone off the top of the Empire, or not the Empire, the Statue of Liberty.
Yes.
Like through the crown or whatever.
Oh yeah.
There was like so many other things that utilized the city and all the iconic places there, but the budget just wasn't there for, which I'm not entirely sure where the budget went for this movie, because it's not like there's a shit ton of special effects. I guess it was to fly everyone to Vancouver, but it's just so many things that between what they wanted to do or what they just could have done that just feels limp in comparison to what it could have been.
I'm not for remakes, but maybe we need like a modern day, like an amped up like version of Jason Takes Manhattan.
I thought that, then I saw Scream 6, and now I'm not sure I need that.
Well, if they executed it a lot better than Scream 6, because don't even get me started on Scream 6. But imagine like what they could do with it now. Like the dude that did Sweet Revenge, imagine if he had that capabilities like in a city, like Jason in Los Angeles. I don't know, like maybe a remake would be fun now. I don't know.
I'd be willing to watch it, but my expectations would be pretty low. So
Yeah.
Is everything that people have complaints about and the things they didn't do and this, that, and the other, is that all due to budget?
Budget, MPAA, and just them trying to get the movie out as much as anything. So, because this is still at the time too when they were basically firing one of these out almost every year.
I miss those days. We got
do
like
too.
a new Friday the 13th every year.
Yeah, I think they're coming back, but I'm not sure it's going to be a good thing. Justin, how about you? Do you have any critiques on this one? Any negatives or anything?
See,
in between
I
there?
think I have a love for this that is much deeper than everybody else. Although I know Jordana loves this too, but
Yes.
I don't even care about all that. I don't need to see the Statue of Liberty. I don't need to see him fucking boxing in Madison Square
would've been
Garden. I don't
cool.
need to see him walking dogs in Central Park. I don't need any of that.
Now, there's
like
an idea.
the little bit of stuff we get in
Steps
the
and
city.
monks.
Yeah. The little bit of stuff we get in the city. Would I like to see more? Sure. I don't need all those landmarks, though. I just love the aesthetic of him in the city. So I would like to have some more. And to Sean's point, like, I could accept the boat stuff as almost like a bottle up and explode thing with this guy if we got a little bit more city. If they'd have balanced it a little better, maybe 20 minutes on the boat and then more city. I wish we'd have got that. But I also understand, like John said, the ratings board, the lack of, apparently lack of budget. I don't know where, like John said, I don't know where the fuck the money went, because they still spent money. So I'm not sure why they didn't have more money to do more scenes in a city. Again, even if it's more in Vancouver and some more fucking diners or alleyways or whatever it is, just, something more in the city would be cool. But having said all that, really my only negatives I've ever had with this movie was I never understood the whole Rennie backstory of her being pulled under by the little kid Jason, which the age doesn't make sense. Whatever. I know it's a Friday the 13th film, so probably not look too deeply into it. And then the other thing is I don't get Jason in the sewer at the end. Toxic waste comes, he turns into a little boy again. I have no fucking clue what they were going for. That's really my only issues with this movie.
Justin, I was really hoping you could answer that for me, because
I have no idea.
I mean, I think it's funny that every night at midnight, the sewers get flooded with toxic waste. Toxic waste is the villain of the 80s. I think it's like...
The Ninja Turtles
again,
come out
RoboCop,
afterwards.
You know?
It's true. I don't understand the design for Kid Jason in this movie, because there's like 5 fucking designs for this kid version of Jason that they keep bringing back. They all look different. And the thing that, it's just like me being a internet nerd, that kind of annoys me too. But the thing that pisses me off about it, it's like there's no consistency to him. And we know what Jason looked like as a kid because it's in the first fucking movie. It's the highlight. It built this entire franchise, and this character is that one scene where he pops out of the water and his head's all deformed and like whatever. He looks like a
bloated,
vertical watermelon with like teeth. That's been what Jason looks like through this entire fucking franchise. So why in this movie does he go from everything where he's got like a bucket of tapioca pudding stuffed on his head, he's got his teeth knocked out occasionally, like he's had too many suckers, he looks fine in some scenes, just wet. He has one scene where it looks like they put some like zombie shit around his mouth. It's all over the place. And I mean, whether or not them doing these flashbacks to like Kid Jason is a good, bad thing or whatever, it's really not the kind of movie where I care to think about it. That it's just like, yeah, whatever. There's that fucking kid. He'll be gone in a minute. So that's fine.
On the escalator again.
Exactly. I just don't understand why, like, you couldn't just pick a design for whatever you're going to do. Like, even with young Jason in this movie, and just ran with it for the whole movie.
There's where the budget went.
Yeah, just making all these different masks for the kid.
Yeah, all the money.
That's where the money went.
Vertical watermelon with teeth.
Painted white. So,
sorry.
Jordana, did you get a chance to say negatives on this, or did you have any that you wanted to?
I'm kind of with Justin on this. There's like, you guys know how I have rallied this movie, even coming to the horror community and saying that it's my favorite out of you know what I mean? Like, that's blasphemous. I stand by it. I love it. I think it's perfect 10 out of 10. No notes needed. It's just very nostalgic for me. So any gripe that I have, and again, a horror movie where you end with a dog, you know what I mean? Like, it's the best ending. So there's really nothing that I can say.
I agree. I love it.
Well, let's not talk about that ending. Let's talk about the ending that with the toxic waste in the sewer and the kid. We've already kind of said what happens, but to give the real brief overview, spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen this like 30-year-old movie at this
Shame
point.
on you.
Fucking pushing 40 years old at this point. Jason is chasing Rennie and her fuckboy through the sewers, and there's one bum down there who's like a sewer worker who's like, all right, you kids got to get out of here. If sewers flood with toxic waste every night at midnight. He gets the shit murdered out of him. Yeah, he gets the shit murdered out of him by Jason because he's there. And they flood the sewer with green Kool-Aid, and full-grown adult Jason, whatever he is, turns gray, makes a stupid face. He looks like the skeleton that pops up in Return of the Living Dead for like half a second and does the same like facial expression.
Can you show us what that
decides to lay down in the green melted jello and dissolves into a child. I know the reason behind this is because the director wanted to think a way that they haven't a way to kill Jason that they haven't done, because they got to do it in every movie. And the strong sense was that this is going to be the last Friday the 13th movie. Thankfully, that for better or worse, that didn't happen. Well, we still have Jason Goes to Space after this, so that's good. But what a fucking dumb way to kill a superhero, right?
Very
Does
elevated.
anyone like this ending? Does
very
anyone
elevated
like it?
For the 80s.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you
Justin,
think of
Jordana, Sean, does anyone actually like this, or
It's his kryptonite.
is that what that is?
It was very
green.
weird. It was very strange, the whole, and trying to figure it out, but I stopped. I was like, okay, well, we'll never figure this out, so
If the toxic waste does this to Jason, I would love to see how Charles handles it, because they don't show him. He just gets dunked And he's just,
Yeah.
oh, he's gone. I would have loved to have seen them pull him out, and he's just like this,
Half corpse.
Raiders of the Lost Ark Nazi guy with his face melted off. It'd been like, oh, this is awesome.
Right.
See, another missed opportunity. They could have used more toxic waste in this movie.
Yeah, always.
So no one's going to defend the ending. No one's going to shit on
Well,
it more
listen,
than they need to.
I think the ending's. I think the way they take Jason out's fucking stupid, but I still love it. I don't know. What do you want from me, John? I fucking love it. I can't help myself.
Well, and that sounds like as good a place as I need to move into the end. Does anyone else have any major points that we haven't hit that we need to touch on?
Can I give one more complaint?
You absolutely can.
No more complaints for this movie. I've had enough.
My only complaint is
Go
it's
ahead.
not long enough. No,
There you go.
You guys would be able to answer this better, but is this the movie where teleporting Jason just gets out of fucking control? I was thinking like, go to the crow's nest. That's where you go in a ship, you know? He won't climb any ladder. He'll never get there.
Just
and then
wait till we get to Jason Goes to Hell.
he's like halfway up the ladder and his arm reaches up and it grabs him and pulls him back. And you can see he's like way the fuck up there. The disco scene, he's like, I could maybe understand you're disoriented or whatever, and that's what they're trying to portray. But he's here, and then he's turn your head and he's there. And I don't have a problem with it because it's just his character. Like, it's not a complaint. I was just like, is this when it really takes off? Like, he doesn't have the tunnels, right? Because he's on a boat.
Yeah, that's the remake that has
Right.
the tunnels. I feel like it's really part 7 where he starts doing it, but this one there's a strong argument for it too.
Well, even to your point, Sean, like Charles, when he like runs away from him, he literally like goes up the stairs and Jason's already there and throws him out the window, and then he's like right there.
Thank
you know what I mean?
God for that.
He's But honestly, though, that's one of my favorite kills because I love the way it's played out. I love how it's just like Charles horrible overacting, looking back at the camera, running to the door, popping in, and then literally like no way that motherfucker is climbing up 2 flights of stairs, and then all of a sudden, pew, right out the window. It's
Jason doesn't like windows. It's hallmark of the franchise.
Yes.
So, all right, let's fire up the grill. Sean, hit me with some sound.
Then you're in for a big treat, bro. Because it's hot dog time.
So, I think I know where Justin's going to land on this one, so I'm going to let him lead us off. Let's get the negative vibes flowing right from the man himself. Justin, rate this however you want. How do you feel about this movie?
Yeah, it's always been a full hot dog for me. Much like Jordana, it's one of my favorite installments. Jason Lives in this one and probably part 2 are probably my 3 favorite for different reasons, but this one had little Justin hooked. Like I loved Jason, and I've said it before, I relate to him, and I'm going back to like the kid that was bullied, the kid that was neglected, the kid that only had his mom was killed, he avenges her, all that stuff going back to the beginning of the franchise. But this movie, him being kind of portrayed as the rock star good guy or the protagonist of this particular installment also just, hooked me. And then seeing him on Arsenio and promoting this movie. And then like Sean talked about, the cover art looks amazing. And just the whole pop culture aspect of this movie I absolutely adore. And that is why it will continue to be one of my favorite movies of all time, especially from the era, especially for the genre, and definitely of the franchise. So yeah, full hot dogs for me. I love this movie, even with little minor nitpicks. I just adore it, and will continue to rewatch this movie multiple times a year forever.
Whose hot dog is this, huh? Is it yours?
Jordana, you're up.
Oh, you know how many hot dogs. I'm stuffing as many dogs in those buns. I love this movie so much. I don't know. It's just very, like I said before, very nostalgic. That Arsenio show scared the shit out of me when I saw that. I was like, oh my God, he's real. Like, you know what I mean? Like as a kid, you're just terrified. But it showed me that horror can be fun and it can also be scary. And I appreciate and I love that about this movie because I feel like it's just a great like gateway. Like I will show this to Rosalind, you know what I mean, as her introduction to the Friday the 13th because that's how I started. But I'm 100% 10 hot dogs, 100 hot dogs. Love this movie.
Utah, give me 2 hot dogs.
Sean, do you want to go ahead and go on this one?
With a name like Jason Takes Manhattan, you'd think Jason would be just randomly killing anybody walking the streets. He'd be a menace to the world. The cops would be chasing him. It would be like you're playing GTA with 6 stars. Instead, we have Jason walking around, looking under the mask like a silver shamrock thing, and he's on a boat for an hour, and then he chases, 5 people for 35 minutes, and then it's the end. I think this one's a weaker entry in the series. The kills are all kind of weak. And like I said, he just chases around these kids from the boat and ignores everyone else unless they're in his way, which kind of underwhelming. There's so much potential there, but I feel like it falls flat. Jason still hates windows, though, so I'll give him half a hot dog for that.
Whose hot dog is this, huh? Is it yours?
This movie's a hell of a lot of fun. I watch it multiple times every year. I do love this movie. There's a lot of things to enjoy about it. I have all the nostalgia for it that anyone in this room who said they have nostalgia for this movie has. I'm right there with you. That said, this is still not that great a movie. As a slasher movie, it kind of fails at doing the slashing side of it because it's kind of neutered. It looks good, but it doesn't feel like the kind of horror movie that I usually go for. However, it's got Jason Vorhees in it, and he still does Jason Voorhees things. So it's a pretty solid half hot dog for me. If you somehow haven't seen this movie and you're a Jason fan or a slasher fan, you absolutely should have this on your to-do list. Probably pretty high up there. But if you're just like, I'm kind of getting into this horror movie thing, I might suggest a couple of the other movies in this franchise ahead of this one before you sink your teeth into it. I do like the idea if you're showing this to a younger viewer. I think this is a good place to start because it's definitely not as intense as some of the other installments in the franchise. But I mean, it just kind of depends what you want out of the Jason. For me, and this is, I'm a broken record on this the last probably 4 episodes now. I love the gnarly, gritty, grimy look of the first 4 movies, and I have always kind of disliked the change in tone after that because I want that shitty look where it's borderline grindhouse feel, and it's just almost an exploitation flick. That's not necessarily bad that they decided to change that. It's just not my preference. This movie still hits a lot of things for a lot of people, so I think that's why I agree with Sean that this is one of the weaker installments in the franchise, but I also hear just as many people, like our 2 wonderful guests that we have with us, that say it's one of their favorites of the franchise. And I think this is one of the interesting things about Friday in particular is there's a lot more division, but respectful division on where these movies fall if you rank them. If you talk about Halloween, for example, and I'm not saying this to talk shit about Halloween, if you don't say 1978 is your favorite, people almost, and again, not anyone in this room, but people almost look at you like you have a tentacle coming out of your head. It's that bad to claim that there could be one that's better. People are at least willing to have that conversation with this and kind of slot these around in all kinds of different ways. So it's absolutely worth watching. It's just, for me, not my favorite in the franchise. And I'm looking forward to getting to space in a couple more episodes.
And I think it's kind of, appropriate that both, Jordana and Justin, they saw this when they were younger and it really hit home. And I think when you said it's kind of more of it's a good kind of introduction to the series, or maybe even younger people that you're trying to get into it, because it is R-rated. Yeah, there's a couple boobs, but all in all, it's pretty tame as far as slashers go, horror movies go.
Especially by Friday the 13th. Yeah.
Yes.
You're not seeing anybody get smashed against a tree in a sleeping bag or something, which is a favorite of mine. I know. It's true, sadly. But it's one of those things that you could show somebody, and it's not overly suspenseful. It's not overly terrifying.
It's not a million jump scares or anything like that.
Yeah, and everything's kind of telegraphed. So the way that it's filmed, like everybody said, it's kind of like superhero Jason. So you definitely root for him. I mean, obviously, as the series got older, you're not watching it for the characters. You couldn't care less what their motivation is, or why they're at the camp or why they're wherever they are. You're watching it because Jason's on screen. So this is that total, this is a prime movie to watch it when all you've ever heard about the character is what your friends have told you. Your parents wouldn't take you to see it. You couldn't rent it on your own at the video store or whatever. Seeing this and being oh, this is what everybody's talking about. This is a cool place to start.
Just so you can get into it and be like, the fuck, they never even got to New York. So
I don't even have a problem with the Vancouver part. I thought I was fooled. I'm a dummy from Michigan. What do I know?
I will always have a soft spot for the scene when he gets out of the water and looks up at the big advertisement with the goalie mask, and there's no expression there, but he almost looks like, the fuck is this? It's great.
I love that part. That's what I wanted to bring up, is that scene. I love when he crawls out from the water and looks at the camera.
Yeah, he looks at the camera. I love it. It's great.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a nice little nod, and this is the only movie that would make sense in any way, shape, or form for it to be in. So it almost feels like something out of a spoof movie. So, So I think that's all we got. Let's start with Jordana. Where can people find everything you got going on right now?
Oh, you can find me on IG. You can find me on the TikTok and YouTube. And I haven't really posted any episodes, but there are some coming. So keep your eyes open for that.
Awesome. Can't wait for him. Justin?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram mostly, but also Threads, Blue Sky, and Facebook. And obviously, yourunpodcast.com. And I just wanted to point out I have some great episodes coming up with all three of you lovely people, starting with Mr. Sean finally on the show with A Clockwork Orange, which will drop the same week as this, I believe, obviously. So, and then Return of the Living Dead with my man John, and my amazing experience with Jordana talking all about the Prowler in April. So be on the lookout for those.
Yes, and we'll have links for both these wonderful podcasts, shows. Everything will be in the description here, where we usually have all our other stuff as well. For us, you can find us on Instagram at DeweyPodMonster. We're at crap.town on Blue Sky. You can find our site, which is crap.town. We're on all the podcast platforms. Please leave us a review, positive, negative, or whatever. Anything that you leave helps us. And of course, please do head over to yourunpodcast.com, where you can find not just us, but all the other great members of the You Run Podcast Network. A lot of people on there that are worth giving your attention to, so check them out. Sean, what am I forgetting?
Nothing.
That's it then. That's all we got. We'll be back at our normal time next Tuesday. You have yourself a great week. I didn't even say my butthorn part. Fuck off, butthorns. There we go.
Bird season's over, butthorn. Blah, blah, blah.